Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Rip It Off podcast, where we confront shame, untangle bad theology, and rebuild intimacy in Christian marriages. If you're new here, hey, I'm so glad you're here. And if you've been around for a while, you already know we don't tiptoe around that hard stuff. So let's get there straight away right now. So I hear this question quite frequently. What if I just don't want it anymore? And that question, it's never casual, not like, what if I don't want it anymore? It's like, it sounds more like, what's wrong with me? Did I marry the wrong person? Am I failing spiritually? Is this just what happens after kids? Or maybe is this just what happens after we get married? Like, I guess like it was fun, but I guess I just don't want it anymore. And sometimes it sounds like this. Did I do something wrong? Friends, I'm going to share something with you that might surprise you. There was a season where I remember thinking, maybe we should have just had sex before marriage. Not because I wanted to dishonor God, and I knew that that was not the right way. I didn't regret waiting to have sex, but because I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. I thought, did I suppress it too well, too good? Well, good, which way? Anyways, was I too good at suppressing it? Did I train myself so hard not to think about it that now I don't know how to turn it on? Did I miss something? And it wasn't because I wasn't attracted to my husband. I just remember thinking, like, things were tough. If you listened to any episodes and where I have shared stuff about my marriage, I mean, this podcast is a result of what the Lord has taught me and done and really shown me the ways and areas in which I just did not understand his design for sex in marriage. And if you've ever had that thought and immediately felt ashamed for even thinking it, I just want you to know I'm here to rip off, those hard things. You're not alone. I thought that many times. Here's the absolute truth. Waiting wasn't the problem. In fact, waiting was obedience to the Lord. The problem was silence. No one taught us how to transition from don't think about it to now embrace it. Like, let's get it on. You can't spend years training your brain to shut something down and then expect it to bloom overnight just because you said, I do. And let me be very clear. When we first got married, it was like, hey, let's get it on. Like, this is great. This is so fun. There's somewhere in there, marriage got hard, things got hard. I didn't know how to communicate about this. My husband didn't know how to communicate about this. This is a very emotional topic. And so we just shut down. You can't spend years, like I said, shutting it down and then just, I do. That's not generally how we as humans work. Now, let's talk about desire in real life. Desire is not that light switch. Here's the reality of it all, friend. You can find your husband attractive. You desire him, you love him. But then there's also this life. And I think I've really tried, especially as I've been writing the book, it's been so cathartic. And I promise I'm going to tell you more about it. But each of these episodes basically are the book. But I just have tried to figure out where the gap happened. And I don't know exactly where, but I do know that our desire is affected by so many other things: stress, sleep, hormones, emotional safety, resentment, mental load, feeling unseen, motherhood, marriage, works, that on and on and on and on. If you are running on fumes, which just going to take a stab in the dark, many of you are, if your brain never stops spinning, if you go from managing kids to managing dinner to managing homework to collapsing in bed, if you go from managing kids to managing dinner to managing homework to collapsing into bed, your body is not going to feel real playful. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you overwhelmed. Sometimes low desire isn't rejection, it's exhaustion or disconnection. And then you can see how over time, it doesn't just magically get better. Maybe you're carrying too much alone. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Start asking, what am I carrying right now? And the question that I love to ask women that I speak to or counsel or whatever is, what are you carrying right now that the Lord never actually asked you to carry? I ask myself this too. So don't just think I'm like, hey, you, what are you carrying that the Lord didn't ask you to carry? I know this all too well for myself because I'm like, oh, I'll pick that up. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I've recently been informed that I am a bit more type A than I ever realized. My kids were funny. They're like, that's not a bad thing. But as I kind of see that, like Elise and I are working on some stuff for Christian motherhood, and I handle all the podcast production stuff. And so she was going to handle this. And there's so much a part of me that's like, oh, like I can do that. I'll just do that. And it's really hard for me to just hands off. Like, it's okay. It's okay. So those are some things like, it's okay. It's okay if it happens in a different way. So again, instead of asking what's wrong with me, try asking, what am I carrying right now? Am I rested? Do I ever have margin? Do you have any sort of margin? Are you and your husband emotionally connected outside the bedroom? Have I felt appreciated this week? Desire rarely disappears for no reason. Like it's just not like poof, gone. What usually happens is it gets buried under stress, resentment, busyness, silence. So what do you actually do? So here's one simple thing this week. I want to give you some practical things. Look at your schedule. I said this in last week's episode too. Look at your schedule, not someone else's, but yours. Is there any protected time for connection? If not, create some. And that might mean you need to remove some things from your calendar. I remember the elementary school that my kids went to, they always did Teacher Appreciation Week, sometime in May. And it wasn't generally like the last week of school, but it's pretty darn close. And so you've got all the, here in the United States, we refer to it as Maycember. I don't know how Elise in Australia handles this because they literally have end of school and Christmas all at the same time. Ours just feels like that. We just don't have Christmas. Anyways, and I was always the room parent. And at one point I had 2 children in elementary school at the same time. And so I was like, yeah, I'll be, room parent for both of those classes. And one year my husband was like, just stop, just say no. And I was like, okay, so I'm in too deep. I can't do it this year, but I can next year. And I appreciated him being able to see what I couldn't see. Like I had agency over what I had committed to. And at that point, I was overcommitted and I needed to change things for the next year. And I just remember talking to the girls. They were so cute. I was like, I'm not going to be room parent for both of you. And their biggest thing was like, but are you still going to come into the classroom? I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely. I'm just not going to control the calendar for both of you. They're like, okay, that's fine. So anyways, this might mean for you, asking a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a babysitter, something to come and watch the kids for a couple hours. Maybe hire that babysitter so that you can go for a walk. Homeschool student that lives near you. That's an amazing way that you can have somebody, a younger girl in your house, maybe even while you guys are still there so that you can monitor what's going on. So obviously maybe you're not having sex while she's there, but just this is a time meant for connection. So again, these are the same things that I shared with you last week. We could share them every single week. Find a different one. Plan a day date. Maybe nighttime works best for you. Find a time that works best for you. Go to bed at the same time. One thing that my husband and I are not great about is we tend to fall into bed and then we'll, watch a show or maybe he's already asleep. He goes to bed a little bit earlier. I'm trying to get into bed at the same time. But what I'm trying to do, again, I am the one that is always creating something, but creating a space where we can talk about things that is not so much like, how was your day? What did you do today? How are you feeling about this? But more open-ended, thought-provoking questions that are fun and playful and, that kind of thing. So maybe try that. Maybe it's in the morning where you sit down together. That's usually when we have our best times to talk and pray about things is in the morning. That's for us. Sit in the car and talk before you go, before you get outside. Put your phone down, put your phone down, put your phone down. Small shifts, intentional shifts. And maybe the most powerful thing you can say to your husband is this: I don't feel broken. I just feel overwhelmed. That changes the tone. That lets him know that you're aware, you're not rejecting him. You're actually inviting him in like, hey, help me with this. And our husbands tend to be fixers. They want to help us with that. What can I take off for you? Tell him like, hey, babe, is there any way you can handle, closing procedures and, loading the dishwasher, whatever it is that weighs on you. You're inviting him in. Low desire is not a final diagnosis on your marriage, friend. It's information, and the information is meant to guide you, right? Not shame you. If this episode felt like it was reading your internal thoughts, that's because this is common. You are not the only one. More common than anyone talks about. Absolutely. And if you want a step-by-step way to untangle shame, pressure, performance, and confusion around intimacy, that is exactly why I created Naked and Unashamed. It's a 31-day journey to help you remove the lies and rebuild intimacy without shame. You can grab it at bit.ly/31-day journey. You are not broken. You were just not really discipled in this area. And that's what we're changing. Love you, friend, and I will see you next week. If this conversation stirred something in you and you want to go deeper, head over to itsme.michellecastro.com. There, you'll find resources, studies, and tools to help you continue rebuilding intimacy in your marriage. And remember, you're not the only one navigating this. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend and start the conversation. Until next time, keep seeking truth, keep choosing courage, and keep rebuilding intimacy.